My guest today is Sarah Ibrahim. Sarah is now 1 full year clean from cocaine addiction and has been using the 20 years of lived experience and a subsequent training as a recovery coach to help bring others out of the darkness of addiction to dance with her in the light. She's a single mum to a 3-year-old boy who has been the catalyst for massive transformation in her life, and she strives to be her best for them both. A born leader, Sarah is using her skills, knowledge, and experience to create a new recovery community to bring people together and support personal transformations. Welcome to the show, Sarah. Good morning. How are you?
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Madeleine. What an honor. Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So, as my show is called Unbroken, Healing Through Storytelling, the first question I ask every guest is, what does the word unbroken mean to you?
So, unbroken to me means just retrieving back all the parts of ourselves, really, that have been lost through misdemeanors, shall we say. So, for me
Mm-hmm.
personally, it's an addiction story. And recovery isn't just about recovering from cocaine use, it's about recovering all those parts of me that I just willfully gave away and ignored and abandoned over a 20-year destructive cycle. And so, recovering myself has been the most enlightening and empowering thing that I've ever done, actually.
Oh God, I'm almost in tears already. I've only asked you the first question. It just sounds like you almost, I kind of get a vision of a garden, like you scattered all these seeds everywhere and now you're trying to bring them back to the one pot.
That's right. That's absolutely
Yeah,
right.
beautiful. So we know your story is one of addiction, and we know, like most teenagers, you kind of dabbled a little bit when you were younger, but it kind of grew from there, really, didn't it?
Yes, I mean, it's a slippery slope. People say that, and we just, you think it's one of the things that people say. It's not going to affect me like that. It's
Mm,
fun. I'm just having a laugh. Like,
yeah.
I'm a teenager. This is what we do. Never in a billion years did I think that I was going to end up doing like £500 in a week on coke and staying up all night and being scared and being a mum that felt guilt and shame like every single day. If I had known that that was going to be the end destination, I would like to think that I would have thought twice about that. But alas, I didn't know that at the time.
So you kind of started with cannabis and speed, and you took ecstasies, and at the weekend you were taking a lot of ease, and you were partying and not sleeping. And I think it was when you were working in a bar that you got introduced to cocaine, and that's really when that started. But that really wasn't in your teenage years, was it?
No, so in my teenage years, as you say, I just dabbled a bit, a little bit of speed, a little bit of weed here and there. It was never something that really lit me up. It was just if it was around, then well, whatever, I just do that. And I was
Hmm.
drinking a lot, even from 13, really. My dad would let me drink with him in the pub. I would rock up in the pub in my school uniform and
Oh
just
my God. Could you
drink
imagine
countless
that
bottles
now,
of
your dad
Budweiser.
bringing you to a pub and letting you?
Seriously, it just wouldn't go over at all, would it? But this was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's really where it started. And then from when I was kind of about 19, I discovered ecstasy. Well, that was it. I lost 10 years of my life right there. And they were such good times. I'm not going to try and say, I was devastated. I lost a lot of jobs. I lost a lot of sleep. I lost a lot of weight.
Hmm.
And I lost a lot of credibility with my friends, with my family, with my employers, all of the things, but that didn't stop me because I just lived for the
You're
weekend.
partying, okay. Party animal.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. But in that time, I was introduced to cocaine. And for about the first 7 years, it was never something I really wanted. If it was there, hey, I would do it. Of course I would. Who's going to say no? This was what my own thinking, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, and I didn't understand people that would go out, do a bit of coke, go home with cocaine, and then go to bed. I was like, I don't. How do you do that? Because it would make me really, really chatty and make me really animated and make me really lively.
And
Like,
you're quite chatty anyway, so I'm just imagining you on drugs would just be, oh, you, because your words come out very fast, so you would be
they
even
do.
faster.
I will try and slow down.
No,
Actually,
you're
thank you for
fine, you're
pointing that
fine.
out. This is what happens when I get into my flow. It's just like blah, 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 blah,
That's good, it's all good, it's all good.
And I just thought, who are you? Who actually even are you? This is disgusting. You are sick. There's nothing right about this situation. You've got to stop. And that was basically it. Now, I'd thought that before, I guess, but I never meant it. But this time I really did. And so I had to own that truth immediately, which for me looked like telling my mum, and for me looked like telling the whole world on Facebook
Oh,
in order to hold myself to the highest level of accountability. Now, this is not something that I necessarily advocate. Okay.
mhm.
However, for me, it was the right course of action. And I knew that I needed to be seen. Otherwise, I would just continue with,
Okay, so you
the
needed
isolation.
almost to um, out yourself in some way. How did that conversation, we'll start with your mum. How did that conversation with your mum go?
Oh, Madeleine, imagine 39 years old, sitting your mum down and going, by the way, mum, I've got a massive coat problem and I've been doing it in your house for the last 2 years whilst you're sleeping.
Mhm.
It's never going to go very well, is it? However, to her credit, it went actually as well as it could. And she was very, very supportive of me. So what happened was I quit the drugs. 4 days later, I joined a mastermind program with a couple of coaches called Dante and Vicky Killian, amazing husband and wife couple. And we started doing some work around finding your purpose. And I was like, why am I even doing this? I freaking know my purpose. Like, I'm a coach. Hello. But I thought, well, I've paid the money for the program. Let me just indulge myself.
Mhm.
And I went through the process. Well, never have I been through anything more transformative in my life.
What?
Because,
Why? What happened? What did they
well,
do?
so I went through the process. And at the end of it, when I wrote out my purpose, I looked at it and I thought, that is a complete fucking lie, because it's missing the part where it says, I'm here to help people come out of the darkness of addiction and dance in the light. But I couldn't say that, because if I said that, then I would have to operate under the radar so that nobody found out that I had this addiction story. And then my mum might find out. So how could I build a business around it? And in that moment, I knew that I had to tell her. I knew that I had to tell everybody. From there, I thought to myself, okay, what if my mum phones the police? What if my mum calls social services and Chase gets taken away from me? What if my mum kicks us both out, or just kicks me out and she keeps Chase? And I had all these stories and all this fear. And what I realized then was, you know what? As much as those reasons are real, they're just excuses. They're just excuses to not hold yourself to this level of accountability. The reason you haven't told her is because you're leaving yourself a little gap in case you want to go back. I just find that, if I air something as a problem and then it's off my chest, okay, great, helpful. But what I really need is some support with changing that thinking or
Yeah.
addressing the actual problem. Like, saying it is one thing, dealing with it is quite another. And so this community is going to be a place for that kind of support. I'm going to bring my recovery coaching, I'm going to bring my business coaching, my inspiration coaching, my spiritual life coaching. It's all there under one roof, so that people can pick and choose the best parts of whatever it is that resonates with them to help them with their recovery.
Mhm. So, as we're kind of coming near to the end of our interview, the time whizzes by.
It
I
does.
know you're 40 now, and life is so much better. It's
Oh
brilliant. But
gosh.
what advice, I guess, maybe firstly for someone that recognizes a friend or a relative has an addiction, and then for
Yeah.
someone that actually has an addiction, because there's two different things there, really, aren't there?
Absolutely. So for a friend or relative that's worried about somebody, I think, I don't know if this is going to help or not, but I'm just going to say it. What I found when people were trying to encourage me to stop was that it just sent me the other way. Okay, please don't try and force somebody into recovery. Don't guilt trip them. Don't try and make them feel bad. Don't try and force them to take action they're not ready to take, because it really has got the danger that it will just send them the other way. Right? A person is never going to deal with it until they are ready.
Mhm.
But just know that being there for them, and I know that it can be, I imagine that it can be hard. Obviously, I've been the addict rather than the support function. However,
Mhm.
one of my friends was an alcoholic, and so I have seen it from that side of it. And it's hard watching somebody destroying themselves.
Yeah.
But just know that there's always hope. There is always, always hope. And if you can just be accessible to them in those moments when they're having their dark times, that will carry a lot of weight for this person going forward.
Absolutely. And now, I guess for someone that's listening that is struggling with an addiction, whatever
Yeah.
that addiction is,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to them?
Oh my gosh. So first of all, ask yourself, do I have a problem, right? Really bring awareness to it, because that's the first step, is admitting it, and admitting it to yourself is
Yes.
often the hardest step in my own experience. Ask yourself, am I doing this more than other people? Am I hiding things? Have I blacked out? Am I missing stuff? Like work? Am I not sleeping? Am I not eating? These kind of things will give you a clue as to whether or not you have got a problem in the first place.
Mhm.
Once you've got that information and you're armed with the truth, then it's going to be about sharing it with somebody else. Now, whether that be your doctor, whether that be a support group, whether that be a recovery coach like myself, it really is imperative that you talk about it, because addiction thrives in isolation, and denial is a massive barrier to
Yeah.
you getting the help that you need. But I would always encourage you not to seek help until you're actually ready and committed to do it, because what can potentially happen, what happened for me, is that I tried. And because I wasn't really committed, wasn't really ready, of course, I went back. And then when I went back, I had all this evidence that, well, it doesn't work anyway. It doesn't work. I can't quit. So why should I bother trying? And it's counterintuitive, counterproductive, right?
Mm.
So really
But
wait
as
until
you
you're
said
ready.
as well, though, everybody's journey is unique.
Of course,
So for some people, it
100%.
might be okay to ask
Yeah.
for help, even if they're not 100% there, because sometimes we have to try and fail, try and fail, try and fail many
Yeah.
times before we actually go, okay, look at
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
Yeah. And I think it's important to say as well at this juncture, just know that however much you're struggling or however much of a mess that you think you've made of your life, know that the minute that you choose you, everything changes. And it can take time for that to filter out into every area of your life, like healing relationships or getting money back or whatever. However, this is not your final destination. Okay. It absolutely isn't. Recovery is the start of a beautiful, beautiful journey.
I love that. When you decide to choose you, everything changes. So, a
100%.
perfect place to end our interview there. So,
Thank
Sarah,
you.
thank you so much for taking the time out today and for being part of my show.
Thank you so much.